Picture this. It's 1965. You're dressed in your Sunday best, man in suits and fedoras, women in gloves and pillbox hats, just to go out for dinner. The hostess won't even seat you without proper attire. Your kids are on their absolute best behavior because one wrong move and you're all heading straight back to the car. This wasn't a special occasion. This was just Tuesday night dinner at the local steakhouse. Welcome to dining out in 1960s America, a world so formal, so different, so utterly alien to our Uber Eats and sweatpants reality that it might as well be from another planet. But here's what nobody tells you. Behind those starched tablecloths and perfectly folded napkins was a revolution brewing, a cultural earthquake that would change not just how we eat, but who we are as Americans. This is the story of how your grandparents' night out became your endless scroll through DoorDash. And trust me, it's way more dramatic than you think. Let me take you back to a Saturday night in 1963. The Johnson family from Dayton, Ohio, is going out for dinner. But first, there's a ritual. Dad Frank shaves, again, even though he shaved this morning. Mom Betty has been setting her hair and rollers since 4 p.m. She's now applying her third layer of lipstick, the one that matches her gloves. 10-year-old Jimmy is being strangled by his clip-on tie, and 8-year-old Susan is already being warned, you sit like a lady, elbows off the table, napkin in your lap. They drive to the Flame Room, the nicest restaurant in town that they can actually afford. It has red leather booths, dim lighting, and a permanent smell of cigarette smoke and prime rib. The parking lot is full of Chevrolet Impalas and Ford Galaxies, all gleaming under the streetlights. Here's what happens next that would blow your mind today. They wait. Not because the restaurant is busy, they have a reservation, but because their table isn't ready at exactly 7 p.m. And nobody complains. Nobody checks their phone, obviously. Nobody asks to speak to a manager. They just wait, in silence, looking at a fish tank. When they're finally seated, the waitress, and it's always a waitress, always a woman, usually middle-aged, hands them menus the size of tombstones, plastic-covered, sticky, heavy. The prices? $4.95 for a steak dinner. That's about $50 in today's money. Here's the menu, and I'm not exaggerating. Appetizers, shrimp cocktail, fruit cup, tomato juice, soups, French onion or soup du jour, always beef vegetable, salads, iceberg lettuce wedge with Thousand Island, Russian, or French dressing. That's it. Those are your choices. Entrees, steak, well done because bacteria, baked chicken, fried fish, ham steak with pineapple ring, Salisbury steak, liver and onions. Sides, baked potato with butter, sour cream hasn't been invented yet for potatoes, green beans from a can, dinner rolls. Desserts, apple pie, cherry pie, vanilla ice cream. Drinks, coffee, milk, iced tea, heavily sweetened, Coca-Cola. No wine list, not at a family restaurant. Alcohol is kept separate, almost shameful. If Dad wants a drink, he orders it quietly. Scotch and soda, please. Mom might have a pink lady or a grasshopper, sweet, syrupy cocktails that taste like liquid desserts. The kids get Shirley Temples, Sprite with grenadine and a maraschino cherry, and they think it's the height of sophistication.
But here's where it gets real. Here's where the emotion comes in. Because what I haven't told you yet is this. The Johnson family, they're white. If they were black, this entire evening would be different, or impossible. Even in 1963, after Brown v. Board of Education, after the Freedom Rides, during the March on Washington, restaurants across America could still legally refuse service based on race, and they did, constantly, brutally, without apology. Let me tell you about the Green Book. The Negro Motorist Green Book was a survival guide published from 1936 to 1966. It listed every hotel, restaurant, gas station, and business where Black Americans could safely stop while traveling. Because in 1960s America, a road trip wasn't an adventure. It was a carefully planned military operation to avoid humiliation, violence, or worse. Imagine planning a family vacation where you can't just pull off the highway when you're hungry, where you have to drive 3 towns past your exit to find a restaurant that will serve you, where your kids ask, "Daddy, why can't we eat here?" And you have to explain that some people don't think they're good enough to sit at a lunch counter. And this wasn't just the South. This was everywhere: Ohio, Pennsylvania, California. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act finally made it illegal to discriminate in public accommodations. But laws change faster than hearts. Throughout the late 60s, black families entering white restaurants were met with lost reservations, hour-long waits for open tables, cold food, and checks that arrived suspiciously fast. The revolution in dining wasn't just about burgers and fries. It was about dignity. It was about a family's right to sit down together in public and be served like human beings.
But something else was happening in 1960s America, something that would change everything. The chains were coming. McDonald's, founded in 1940, exploded in the 1960s. Ray Kroc opened his first franchised location in 1955, and by 1965, there were over 700 McDonald's across America. Howard Johnson's, the orange-roofed roadside icon, had over 1,000 locations. Colonel Sanders was franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken at a rate of 1 new store every 2 days. And here's why this mattered. Fast food didn't care what you wore. You could show up in work boots and dirty jeans, and nobody raised an eyebrow. Fast food was fast. You didn't need a reservation or an hour to spare. Fast food was cheap. A McDonald's burger cost 15 cents. Fast food was democratic. Your money was the same color as everyone else's. Was fast food always welcoming to black families? No. Discrimination existed there too. But the model itself, quick, cheap, standardized, no dress code, was inherently more egalitarian than the white tablecloth establishment. By 1969, something remarkable was happening. For the first time in American history, families were eating more meals outside the home than in any previous generation. Not because food at home was bad, but because eating out was becoming normal, accessible, American. The Johnson family started going to McDonald's on Friday nights. No dress code, no waiting, no judgment. Just burgers, fries, and the revolutionary idea that dinner could be easy. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is where I tell you everything was better back then, that we've lost something precious, that we should go back. But here's the truth, and it's complicated. Yes, we lost something. We lost the ritual. We lost the idea that going out to dinner was an event, something special, something you prepared for. We lost the patience to sit without screens, to talk without distraction, to treat a meal as a moment worth protecting. My grandmother still sets the table with cloth napkins for regular weeknight dinners. She still puts on lipstick before eating out. She still waits, patiently, without complaint, for her food to arrive. And there's something beautiful about that. Something that says, this matters. You matter. This time together is sacred. But here's what we gained. Freedom. The freedom to eat what we want, when we want, wearing what we want. The freedom to try Ethiopian food, Thai food, Vietnamese food, Mexican food made by actual Mexican families instead of Tex-Mex from a can. The freedom to be vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, without being treated like a problem customer. Access. Food that once required hours of preparation is now minutes away. Parents working 2 jobs can still feed their kids without collapsing from exhaustion. Single mothers don't have to choose between cooking dinner and spending time with their children. Equality. Nobody asks your credentials at Chipotle. Nobody checks if you're properly dressed at Five Guys. Money talks, and everybody's money is the same. And diversity. Oh my God, the diversity. In 1960s America, ethnic food meant spaghetti. Chinese food existed, but it was sweet, fried, and invented for white palates. Everything else didn't exist, couldn't exist. Today, you can eat Korean barbecue for lunch and Lebanese for dinner. You can have poke bowls made by Hawaiian immigrants and arepas from a Venezuelan food truck. The American dining landscape isn't just food, it's a living, breathing testament to every culture that makes this country. So here's what I want you to understand. When your grandparents talk about the good old days of dining out, they're not wrong. There was something special about getting dressed up, about treating a meal as an event, about slowing down and being present. But those good old days were only good for some people. They were only accessible to some people. They only offered dignity and service and welcome to some people. The revolution in American dining, from formal restaurants to fast food to food trucks to DoorDash to ghost kitchens, isn't just about convenience, it's about democracy. It's about the radical idea that everybody deserves to eat good food in peace, without proving they're worthy first. The next time you order takeout in your pajamas, remember, your grandmother couldn't do that. But also remember, some of your neighbors' grandmothers couldn't even walk through the front door of restaurants in their Sunday best. We've gained convenience, but maybe we've lost ceremony. We've gained access, but maybe we've lost appreciation. We've gained speed, but maybe we've lost slowness. The question isn't whether 1960s dining was better or worse than today. The question is, what can we bring back from that era that was actually worth keeping, while never, ever going back to who was left standing outside in the cold? Maybe it's this. Treat every meal, even a Tuesday night pizza, like it matters. Put down your phone. Look at the people you're eating with. Thank the person who served you. Dress up sometimes, just because. But never forget that the right to sit down at a table and be served is a freedom that people fought for, marched for, and died for. And that's not nostalgia. That's history.